You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 202.4, Will Retherford's 5 Questions That Need Answers. Today, will answer questions about the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, a little bit of college basketball, and some IndyCar. That's 6.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Will Retherford is back after missing a week on spring break. How was spring break, Will?
Very relaxing. Got to go down and see my great aunt. She lives in Florida. My girlfriend Addie and I got to go down and spend a week in some sunshine and warm weather, and it was really nice. Very relaxing. Needed it.
Good. How much sports did you pay attention to?
I would be lying if I didn't. Not much. I kind of didn't. Honestly, disconnected. Had just very relaxing. Seriously, we lived like 60-year-olds for the week. We played pickleball and we played shuffleboard and bocce ball and went to the pool and moved up to Lake County from Broward County this past year. So it was very interesting to see the difference. It's very old Florida where it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. The live oaks and the cypress trees around the lakes. It's very nice.
Well, I hope you paid enough attention to be able to answer 5 questions that need answers. Mm-hmm. And we start with, have you ever seen a better shot by the Pacers in a regular season game than Tyrese Halliburton last night?
Not in my lifetime, no. I can think of the Paul George logo 3 was pretty cool. But nothing like last night. That's shot of the year. That's shot of the decade. The implications aren't. It's not like it was some massive playoff game or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe you say Pacers game specifically, biggest shot in a Pacers game.
In a regular season game, yeah.
Yeah, in a regular season game, I'd say so. I think in my lifetime, yeah.
It's one of the biggest I've seen in my lifetime.
I've just.
It was a rival. He got fouled. It was an impossible shot to make. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. All right, 1B. Do you hope the Pacers and Bucks play in the postseason? Because that could be a lot of fun.
Yes, because I think that the Pacers are a really bad matchup for them. I think the Pacers move on in a series against the Bucks. I would, if I'm Rick Carlisle, that's the team I want to play. The Pacers have just seemed to dominate and kind of own the Bucks these past couple of years, and they just match up well.
The other 2 teams that could be are the Knicks and Pistons, and that'd be fun too, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the Knicks series last year brought a lot of hype kind of back to that rivalry. The Pistons would be close geographically. You'd have a lot of, there would be fans from Detroit come down. You'd get good atmospheres.
The Pacers-Pistons days were good too.
Honestly, I think I like the Bucks and Pistons probably a little bit more than I like that matchup against I think that matchup against the Knicks could be tough. But I've said it, the Pacers match up really well in a 7-game series. I would not put them as the underdog against any of those 3 teams.
The Pistons, man, just got better as soon as Jaden Ivey got hurt.
Yep. I mean, they're
sometimes pieces just don't match.
They're playing much better. I mean, it's helped that Cade Cunningham has really come into his own as a shot creator and just
no doubt
all around basketball player. In general, I think that his evolution, you saw it. His game, based on what he did at Oklahoma State, was going to translate to the NBA. I just think that he's one of those that it just took maybe a few years to really. Not that he's averaged 20 plus for multiple years, but just to really click and gel and be like that go-to guy on for a franchise, really.
He's got to be most improved player. I can't imagine there's another one.
I can't think that there's anyone to me that I feel is more deserving of the award than him. No.
Maybe even Darius Garland again. That guy, team,
we talked
15 in a row, man.
We've talked about it. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the year, how much I thought Darius Garland impacted that team. So far, they've stayed healthy. They've been really lucky. Donovan Mitchell is playing excellent. That they just play team basketball, and
their pieces fit really well.
They do. They do fit really well. They still, they're giving up less than the average in the East. I still think I'd have Boston as a favorite in the 7-game series.
If you don't pick one of those two, you're not paying much attention at this point.
Yeah, I thought coming into the year that the Pacers were legit contenders, and I think that they're maybe a tier below that. I don't see them beating either one of those teams in the 7-game series.
I think they match up better with Cleveland.
They definitely match up better against Cleveland, and I still think that they match up much better against Boston than what people think. I do think that they are. I've said the whole year since the series last year, I don't think that they didn't play swept basketball. They played much better than getting swept. Finals, obviously tell a slightly different story, but if you watch the games and really, watch how they played both offensively and defensively, you would say that they competed and belonged there, if that makes sense. They need Tyrese. The Pacers just need Tyrese to continue to improve his scoring output and get back on track. He kind of slumped there for a few weeks, but hopefully we're on the upside of that.
Hopefully they stay healthy. I was looking at the schedule today. I think they'll be favored in 14 of their last 18 games.
Yep.
Maybe 13, depending on Cleveland at home, whether they would be favored in that.
Probably
I don't know.
Not. It'd be close.
Depends on who they're playing.
Close to a pick 'em.
How they're playing. Last time they were 3-point underdogs, I believe, so at home against Cleveland.
One thing I got to say, Miles Turner can't be taking 9 threes in a game.
No.
I mean, that game, honestly, if they got open looks, I'm not saying that, but your 6'11" center can't be leading the team in 3-point attempts. I have a huge problem with that. They've got to cut that down. There's a reason that he's not a forward at his size, because he's a good shooter, but he's not a great shooter. He is a shooter that can get you a 3 when you need him, but I don't know. They've got way too much talent for him to be hucking up 9 threes in a game.
So that was 5 questions and 1 for the NBA. Let's move on to the NFL. It's been quite a week, so here's what I want to do, because we do this all the time. The 5 teams most likely to win the Super Bowl after 3 days of free agency, and then we'll go to part 2 of this question.
Okay. One, the Eagles haven't gotten any worse.
Haven't they?
Champs. I don't think
they've lost 3 good defensive players.
I think that they've got defensive players there to replace them. I really don't think that I don't think that GJ is a huge loss for them, because they've got Mitchell and Cooper, who are ready to take the next step forward. He was an expendable piece. Their offense is still going to be lethal. Their offensive line still just as good.
Are they going to be able to tush-push next year? Because if they're not, that changes everything.
I don't know. I mean, I would say kind of the rumbling around the league is that no, they're not going to be. But I still think that their domination in the Super Bowl, to me, I don't know how you can take them off there. I don't see another team. There is not another team that's elevated themselves to a point to where they're that much better than the Eagles. And Jalen Carter.
What if Joey Bosa becomes Joey Bosa again?
I think the Bills are the only team that I think is there.
I think they're number 1, and I don't think it's that close.
I think that they still have to. They've got to play in a much tougher division, or well, I don't want to say division. They've got to play in a much tougher conference.
Yeah, the division looks horrible right now.
Yep. I mean, I don't see they're going to run away with the division, but they're still. I mean, they're going to have to play the Chiefs. They're going to have to play the Bengals at some point. They're going to have to play
the Ravens.
The entire AFC West is going to be good.
Steelers,
the Steelers,
the Chargers.
Like they have a lot of good teams they have to compete against. And so I'm going to give if we're talking most likely to win the Super Bowl, the Eagles' path is better than the Bills.
All right, who's number 3?
I guess I'm going to say the Ravens. I feel like the Chiefs have gotten worse. The Chiefs have gotten a lot worse, I think.
I expect a pretty significant step back for the Chiefs.
I think I would go as far to say I don't know if I'm expecting a division win, a division championship next year.
I can see that.
I think that the Ravens are right there.
You hate to doubt Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but last year that roster wasn't good enough to be in the Super Bowl.
No.
And they found a way.
The better team of the AFC did not get to this. The Bills were the better team. The Chiefs won.
The Ravens were.
I just think that this is the time where where Lamar cements himself is right up there in that issue, which I feel like he already has as far as his 2 MVPs and stuff, but where he's like
completely unique player
Yeah.
who does things that no other player's ever done. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
I just think that he's a huge piece. That I feel like, to me, he can't. I don't know. As crazy as this, I don't know if he can play any better than he did last year. Like, I really, but I don't
Added
think
an awfully good receiver.
I don't think that he's going to be any worse, if that makes sense. Like, I think that what you saw last year is his floor now. I think that's just the kind of player he is, which is
I think so.
complete ridiculousness. The fact that he's this good, but
And I love him, and I just can't stand the Ravens. Of course, I covered him in college.
yeah,
So, but I just can't, I'm so conflicted every week,
Yeah.
hoping that Lamar Jackson does well, and the Ravens are definitely my least favorite team in the NFL.
Well-
it would least favorite franchise. It would be the Ravens or the Raiders for sure.
I just see them as I think offensively their weapons are there, and their run game's still going to be so good. Henry lost no steps, and
Didn't seem to.
I don't expect that he's going to lose any steps. Their offensive line is going to give them Mack truck sized lanes to get through. I would say that they're the best team in their division. I think the Steelers are they're just a cluster of issues. I have zero faith in the Steelers, no matter who they bring in to play quarterback. None. No, this DK Metcalf, I don't think it moves the needle. And that's going to be such a diva case.
I didn't even think about
That's going to
Pickens.
be a complete diva case between Metcalf and Pickens. They're going to be fighting each other probably on the field of who gets the ball more. I pray for that quarterback. He's going to have a miserable time with those two. And I have zero faith in Mike Tomlin. So
I know, for some reason.
I have no faith in Mike Tomlin.
For some reason.
Ever.
All right. Number 4.
Maybe too high, but the Buccaneers. They're gonna win their division, and they're gonna win it easy, and they're gonna have home field, and they're in the easier conference. So
It's still too high, I think.
they're gonna host a playoff game. I mean, I think that they're a 11 to 12 win team. So they brought Godwin back.
They're getting old at a lot of positions.
I mean, yeah, but they're young, kind of in places that it's good to be young though too. I think that they lost the game last. I mean, we talked about it last year when they lost that game to the Commanders. I mean, they lost that game.
10 push-ups.
Yeah, Washington. When they lost the game to Washington, they lost the game. I mean, they played terrible in the fourth quarter, a game that they had no business losing. I just, I'm going to harp on what you always say. Not the best team, most likely, and they are
That's
the
right.
most likely because they are going to win their division.
All right, number 5.
The Commanders.
10 more push-ups. We don't use that word on this podcast.
Okay, the Washington football team.
There you go. That's much better.
The WFT.
Just Washington.
And
Washington
I
works
was so
well.
high on the Lions last year, and I don't really think the Lions got any worse.
Yeah,
As far as
think
on
so.
paper, on paper, their team, as far as the roster is constructed, didn't get any worse.
And they're gonna be healthier.
I think losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were 2 big losses.
Absolutely.
And I have faith that
Especially Aaron Glenn.
I have faith that Dan Campbell can. He's hired within. He's done a great job as far as filling his coordinator positions. I just think that's going to be a really tough division, and so I'm not sure that they're going to be. I'm not sure they're going to win the division. I think that you could make an argument that I don't think the Bears are winning the division, but the Packers and Vikings absolutely could win that division. So, I got to leave as high on the lines as I was last year. I had them at number 1 for an awful long time. I just feel like that as far as most likely when we're 6 months away from week 1, I don't think they're the most likely. So I think Bucks 4, Commanders 5.
10 more push-ups.
God, I'm up to 30 or 40. I don't know what it is.
You might as well drop and give them now.
Yeah, no kidding. But they've done nothing but improve. I don't know if there's
you're
some
right.
conspiracy in the league where we're just giving players up to Washington for next to nothing. What the Texans are do just when I think the Texans are on the rise as a franchise, they shoot themselves in the foot, and
We'll
that's
see.
exactly what they did.
We'll see. I think that's a bad move for sure.
It's a bad. This offseason for them has been nothing but bad moves. They fired Slowick, who was not the issue of their team. They got rid of their all-pro left tackle, and their offensive line is still bad. I mean, that's their glare.
They're going to need to improve on the offensive line. There's still
to.
plenty of guys out there, by the way, on the offensive line,
sure.
especially. They're going to be healthier next year. They're going to have a quarterback with another year of experience. That team's going to win that division.
We say healthier, but the same players continue to get hurt every year, so
that's
they going to be healthier?
Yeah,
I mean, Nico
point.
Collins continues every year. He goes out. He misses 4 weeks with a hamstring injury.
Both their receivers are
Tank
injured
Dell's
all the time.
going to be injured. Christian Kirk, who they just traded for, is
Christian
always
Kirk
hurt.
was a great pickup.
But he never plays. He's never on the field.
He didn't last year, but
he didn't the year before either. Remember,
he played for a long time for the Cardinals.
The sports hernia that he had. His time in Jacksonville is riddled with injury. So
it's too bad because he's a really good talent.
He's a very talented slot receiver, but he cannot stay healthy.
So it's going to be the Bills and the Packers in the Super Bowl. I'm just telling you now. It's going to be the Bills and the Packers. My surprise team, and I think this team has a shot at shocking everyone, is the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're pretty much solid everywhere. They're finally starting to get some good coaching. I'm not sure I believe in their quarterback, but they've got an awful lot of talent, and I think they win that division.
The Cardinals are a surprise team if they find a way to make Marvin Harrison what Marvin Harrison is.
And they will.
And that is an alpha number one who gets 1,500 receiving yards.
20 targets a game.
Until Kyler decides he wants to strap the helmet on, stand in the pocket, and not throw the check down to James Conner or Trey McBride, I don't think that they can't be a surprise team. They have to, the philosophy has to change. And this is a passion point for me. I'm a huge Marv fan. The fact that he had no receptions behind the line of scrimmage the entire year is ridiculous. Why wouldn't you give layups? You see the Bengals; they give Jamar Chase 5 layups a game.
Debo Samuel.
Well, I've never been high on Debo.
No, but he's the best running wide receiver of all time.
Jefferson gets layups
Absolutely.
all the time. Malik Neighbors got layups
Calvin
the
Johnson
whole year.
used to get screen passes.
They can't just use him as you're going to, hey, let's go throw him out of X and then we're just going to run go routes why would you, if that was the case, then why'd you take him at 4? Because he's not actually helping your team at all. All he's doing is clearing out space for you to throw a 5-yard check down on 2nd and 13 because your quarterback can't see over the line of scrimmage. I think you're right. I think that they're a team with a ton of potential, but until
that's what I said. I don't quite believe in their quarterback, but if they can,
have the talent.
And he's talented. He's a talented.
He's incredibly. He's an incredible athlete. This is in no way, but for whatever reason, last year he just said, I'm not going to make an effort to push the ball down the field, and instead I'm going to take I think quarterbacks should take the easy play a lot more, but there's a difference between, you've got to have this happy medium between pushing the ball down the field and mitigating risk. And there was way too much mitigating risk last year and not enough, hey, let's push the ball down the field. When they threw Marvin Harrison, he's an incredible red zone target. I mean, any ball thrown to him in the red zone was a touchdown. I mean, the guy's uber talented. They've got to make him an alpha one for them to take the next step forward.
Question 2B, is Chris Ballard acting like a general manager whose job is on the line this week?
I don't know if he's acting like a GM that's job is on the line as much as he's acting like what a GM should do when they need to improve their team. I mean, I would say yes. I think that any fan of the Colts and in the NFL would say, yeah, his job's on the line, but he's doing the things that he should have done 3 years ago, which is when we have a weakness on our team, let's go address it in free agency. Let's go bring guys in to address it in free agency and make our team better.
They still have an awful lot of holes, and they've signed 2 guys, 2 defensive backs. That's it.
I mean, I guess, to me, I don't think that their D-line is an issue at all. I think their D-line is good.
Who's the pass rusher?
You hope Latu takes a step forward. You didn't take.
Who's the other one?
I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I'm not sure he's done.
I hope he's not. I'm just saying the first couple of days, most general managers whose jobs are on the line would have acted like the Patriots on Monday, which is going out and signing a player at every single spot where you feel like you have a weakness?
No, it's awesome when you have $130 million in cap space because your team's terrible too. I mean, you know, it's easy to go and overpay for Bob Spillane when you need to. It's easy to go overpay for Williams when you need to.
The Colts need to.
I don't think. I think that this is. See, now I think we're almost being hypercritical of Ballard. I think every move he's made up to this point is a good move. I don't love the Daniel Jones signing. I think they gave him a lot of money to be a backup. I think
they've made the defensive backfield better. What else have they done to become better?
I think
their offensive line's worse.
I think getting a receiving. Kelly never played. I don't think it's any worse. Center position's not any worse than it was last year.
Will Fries is gone too. Braden Smith isn't great. They just signed him. Hopefully he's healthy.
I'm not.
I'm just saying, to me, it doesn't look like he's that concerned about his job.
I liked that they didn't. I wouldn't have wanted Will Fries to get $88 million. No way.
Fair enough.
No way. You should not have re-signed him for that. If that was what the price was, let him go. Go draft it. Go draft someone in the second or third round to fill a role.
Maybe they have faith in the young guys they drafted last year.
I think they do, and I really think that the guys they drafted last year have a chance to be pretty good NFL linemen.
Then they could have a good offensive line.
Ryman is a really good left tackle, and Quentin Nelson is an all-pro left guard. And if you have two of the three, you know that whoever you have starting at quarterback, their blind side's taken care of. The right side But in a lot of your run sets, Nelson's your pulling guard, so you don't necessarily need a crazy athletic right guard like Nelson.
They need road graders. They need guys who can get in front of the quarterback and the running back and do that 80% of the plays.
I'm not as worried about the offensive line. I have faith in there. I think if there's one position that Ballard has drafted pretty well in his time in Indy, it is the offensive line. I think that for the most part he's hit on the offensive line where he's taken them. They've developed. We talked about Reinman as some terrible left tackle prospect. He's
been great.
They throw him out on the field. He had a rough stretch. He had a rough first year, but then they throw him out on the field, and he gets better.
He's been fantastic.
He's been fantastic. So I'm not worried. I like the Khalil Herbert signing. That just came
having
in today.
A competent backup is important.
Having a good receiving back, one, because I think Taylor is a little limited in his pass catching ability. I don't like the Daniel Jones signing. I don't like it at all. I think they gave him way too much money. I would have almost rather you drafted Jackson Dart in the second round over give Daniel Jones $14 million to be your backup. I don't like that move because Daniel Jones is not going to win this team a playoff game. I can tell you that. I know that for a fact. I cannot tell you that Anthony Richardson won't win the Colts a playoff game. And so anything less than Anthony Richardson starting week one is a travesty.
Absolutely.
To me,
if Daniel Jones is a starter on week one, what's the point?
If Daniel Jones is a starter week one, I don't even know if I'll watch the game. Seriously.
Well, yeah, I'd probably watch the games, but
I have no faith.
I'd probably hope for them to get the number one pick in the draft.
No faith. I have zero faith that I know what Daniel Jones is. I don't know what Richardson is. Yep. And I would say that he still performed a little better than the critics would like to say he did last year.
They're still horrible at tight end, bad at linebacker, no pass rush, bad on one side of the offensive line. How do you fill all that with just the draft?
We talked about this when we sat at
Ball
State University.
Let's hope that it works out.
Wherever Ballard goes in free agency, he's going to go the opposite on draft day. And he went defense, and he's going to draft a tight end.
They can't get just some tight end.
I don't think they're going to. I think
let's hope.
If Warren's taking top 5, Chris Ballard's going to move up to get Colston Loveland. Bet the farm.
Let's hope.
And I would say that this is.
Has he ever moved up? Nelson. No, Nelson, he moved down. I don't think he's ever moved up.
I would argue that this is as deep of a tight end draft class in my lifetime as there has ever been. There's a lot of good tight ends.
There are only 2 that look like they're elite, and that's the issue. You've got to have an elite one.
Don't sleep on the Matt guy.
Well, spring training is heating up. We're almost to another baseball season. And my question is, who's going to win the National League East?
The Philadelphia Phillies.
I think you're right. Central? This is a tough one.
This is really tough.
You said Milwaukee a couple weeks ago. Is that you still feel that way?
I feel less convicted on Milwaukee now compared to what I did. With that being said, Milwaukee.
All right, it's going to be the Reds. And in the West?
Dodgers.
You're taking the Dodgers over the Padres.
I think the Dodgers are going to be the better regular season team. I'm not sure the Padres aren't a better postseason team. If that makes sense.
I'm not so sure the Padres won't win that division.
I think the Dodgers are going to be.
I have more questions about the Dodgers than I do the Padres.
Here's what I think: the Dodgers will be better outside of the division than the Padres will be. If that makes sense, the Padres may win the season series against the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers will do better. We'll do better elsewhere.
Another tough one is the NL West. I mean the AL West. My bad.
Oh Lord.
I know. Could really be anybody, couldn't it?
I think it's a situation where it probably could be anyone too. Give me.
Except for the A's.
Give me the Mariners.
I hope so. That's my favorite American League team. I'll say the Rangers though.
Oh Lord. I'm going to be convicted. I'm going to say the Mariners. I think their pitching staff is really good. If they have a competent offense, they're going to be good.
Houston could also be really good.
I think. I don't know if the Rangers were just a one-trick pony. I don't know what the Rangers.
It's an awfully good lineup.
How they played last year was weird, though. It was weird how they were still. That lineup was not
hangover.
Really. That lineup was not really much different, and they just didn't perform as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think the Rangers.
Seattle.
I don't think the Rangers pitching is going to be as good as the rest of the division. So, and I do think the A's will be. The A's will not finish last.
They won't finish last.
They will not finish last. Who are they going to
finish ahead of? The Angels?
I think the Angels will finish last. I think the A's are going to be a little better than people think. I think that they'll be better. I think that the Angels will finish last.
By the way, I was just thinking this through. The entire American League is tough to pick the division winner. The Central.
I think the Guardians. I don't know.
That's 50 push-ups now. We don't say Guardians either. Cleveland.
God, I don't know. Detroit.
I know.
Could be good too.
Minnesota.
I'm going to give the edge to Cleveland. I think that they have the best pitching staff probably right now before the season starts. You still kind of want to see what Detroit looks like. And I think Cleveland played really well. Jose Ramirez is an all-world player. Stephen Kwan, he was hurt for a while last year. I think him having a full year, you might see a difference. I like that pitching staff a lot too. That's a very under the radar, sneaky, really good starting five. So yeah, give me Cleveland.
I'll take the White Sox. I'm kidding.
Oh my
God.
That
was a joke.
They might set the record for most losses again this year.
Yeah, remember it was like 10 years ago they were the team of the future.
And
they had just a slight rise and they are gone.
Yep, they did.
You talk about a poorly run organization.
Oh my God, it's awful.
I'll take the Twins, but I don't. That could really go in the Royal.
See, I don't like that. You weren't convicted in that answer.
I'm not convicted at all in this. In fact, I probably think it's Cleveland, but I hate them so much that I probably am not going to go with them.
That's fair. Our biases impact every decision we make. So.
I wouldn't take the Giants or the Cubs either, just for the record.
The Giants the Diamondbacks might win 100 games, and Padres could win 100 games, and I'm not sure they'll win their division. The Giants could win 90. That's not a bad roster either. Now the poor Rockies. Oh my God, that's going to be a really rough record. And to be quite frank, if you put them in any other division, maybe outside of the AL East, they probably don't finish last.
It's a good division.
That's it. Oh, that's all three.
It's going to be worth staying up late nights.
All four of those teams have the kind of lineup that will just take advantage of Coors Field too. Like not just like exploit it like take advantage of it.
And you sticking with the Orioles or going with the Yankees?
I'm going the Orioles. I am going to go the Orioles. I think that Burns was a huge loss, but you just hope somebody picks up the slack around them. That lineup is if the young guys can keep this pace, if Gunnar can take a step forward, and you hope Jackson Holiday improves as a hitter, that's going to be a real good ball club. So I do think that Santander was a big loss as far as having a switch hitter that is that versatile in the lineup, but.
How much will the Yankees suffer from their recent loss?
Oh, it's huge. Garrett Cole might be the best pitcher in the league.
I know, but it's been a long time since he's been able to prove that. Last year, he just struggled all year with those injuries, and I still think they're a contender.
No, I still think they're a contender, but I don't. You know what? I'm going to say they're not a contender because I don't think that they.
You think they'll get in the playoffs though?
I don't know. I don't. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't think they're winning their division. And I think that the Blue Jays will be better. I think the Red Sox will be competent. I think the Rays will be competent as well. I mean, I think that losing your ace is huge. With that being said, yeah, I think they probably make the playoffs. But you know what? The Royals are going to be pushing for a wild card spot. The Tigers are going to be pushing for a wild card spot. I'm not sure the West is going to see, but I always like to view it when we talk about like the playoffs, especially in the MLB and the NFL too, is are you winning your division? Yes or no? I feel like if I can confidently say you're winning your division, you're absolutely in. And then you got to think of, okay, well, there's still good teams that aren't going to win the division. So
there's no one in the American League that's absolutely winning their division. I'm not sure there's anyone in the National League that's absolutely winning their division. Maybe the Phillies, but if the Braves play well,
Strider's coming back. Yeah, but they did lose Fried.
Yeah, but there's no. I don't think there's a single team in the league that's definitely winning their division.
I can confidently say that there are 7 or 8 teams I know are not winning their division. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's leaving you with 22 teams, realistically, that you think can compete for a division championship. Baseball's also one of those sports we could come in here and the Dodgers could win 90 games or 85 games and it makes 0. I mean, that's not likely. That's not going to happen, but it's not impossible either. I mean, it's just such a game where sometimes the best team, I mean, it's what makes betting it so hard. The worst team is going to win 60-plus games, and the best team's going to lose 60-plus games. So
that's right.
You got to find yourself somewhere in between that.
So the Big Ten tournament started today, Will. Mm-hmm. Northwestern has beaten Minnesota, and as we speak, Ohio State is on the ropes, down 8 against Iowa. They lose that game, their NCAA tournament hopes dim pretty significantly.
Yeah, they don't dim there. It's lights out.
I wouldn't say that for sure, but it's pretty close. The question is, any teams in the Big Ten capable of getting to the Final Four?
Michigan State is.
They're definitely the most complete team.
John Calipari was absolutely excellent at Kentucky, and I believe he only won, one championship? Mm-hmm. Tom Izzo is a better basketball coach.
Well, no doubt about that.
Than John Calipari. And
talking about recruiting, adding that in, maybe not, but
Tom Izzo's only won 1 national championship, and I don't think Tom Izzo's story's done. I think he's got another one in him. He's always, that team, regardless of whatever happens, Tom Izzo always takes that team a round or two further than they should have gone.
Absolutely.
Every year. And
one of the all-time greats.
He is. I mean, he is. As far as doing more with less, I'm not sure that there's a coach right now. Maybe Matt Painter is the only other coach that I would maybe put in that tier of doing more with less. I would argue Rick Pitino is always
doing that.
Always done that.
Yeah.
Which the fact that St. John's is ranked 6th in the country is.
I mean, those Louisville teams he won with didn't have a bunch of All-Americans.
No.
They had good recruiting classes, but yeah, he's also just can't stand him or Calipari. I don't like the way they did business. Don't like them. But they are great coaches.
I think that you're going to see I think Michigan State, Illinois, or Michigan probably win. I think it's one of those 3. I don't think Oregon's probably going to. The Big Ten basketball, especially Big Ten tournament basketball, is different, and I think that they were great in the Pac-12, and they've been good in the Big Ten. They've been a good team. They're going to make the tournament, but I think it's going to be harder for them. I just don't see them doing it.
You know, they have good guards.
They do have really good guards.
Not good inside as well.
I do
Biddle's
think
Biddle's good, but not offensively. So
I think that Michigan State is probably my favorite right now to win the Big Ten tournament.
Question number 5.
Okay.
Some really good hockey franchises and recently good teams on the outside looking in of the playoffs right now. In the East, which of these teams makes the playoffs, Will?
Okay.
Canadians, Rangers, Bruins, Red Wings, and Islanders.
Okay, let's get into it. The Canadians are not making the playoffs. I don't have faith that the Canadians are going to make the playoffs for no reason other than I think Columbus is a team of destiny after what happened to Johnny Gaudreau. I think that for whatever reason their story is meant to be told of they're a team that should go to the playoffs. A magical year, a team that has overcome all of the obstacles to do so. It's one of those stories that transcends the sport where it's just more of a feel. I feel like Columbus deserves to make the playoffs with everything that's happened, and they will make the playoffs. That's an excellent fan base. They deserve, with everything that's gone on, they deserve to make the playoffs. So I'm gonna put them in, and I'm booting the Canadians out of that mix.
Can the Rangers, Bruins, Red Wings, or Islanders make a push?
The Rangers have the best goaltending. The Rangers probably have the best roster on paper.
By the way, in the NBA, the last 2 teams to make the playoffs doesn't usually matter. In the NHL, it all matters.
It absolutely matters. Your 8 seed can get in. I mean, the Panthers.
And get hot, yeah.
The Panthers went to the finals the year that they were an 8 seed.
In 1998, when the Capitals went to the Stanley Cup final out of the first round of the East, it was the 4, 6, 7, and 8 seeds that won.
It doesn't matter. Right? Hockey doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. I think the Rangers on paper are the team that I feel the most likely will probably make the playoffs. I think that the Islanders have way too much. They've got way too much ground to cover. I don't think they can do it. You also have to start looking at the schedule. Remaining schedule is a big deal because, if like say the Rangers are going to have to play a ton of games against the Capitals, Hurricanes, and Boston the rest of the way out. Well, that makes their road a lot tougher than maybe Boston. Here, I think of the 4 that you posed between the Canadians, the Rangers, the Bruins, Red Wings, and Isles, I think the Rangers are the only team that I feel actually can make the playoffs.
By the way, they're the 9, 10, 11, 12,
yes.
13, right?
Yeah, but of all the Bruins have a game in hand over pretty much everyone. They have 2 games in hand on both Ottawa and Columbus. Yeah, the Isles and Red Wings, they're out of it. The Isles, they're 29, 28, and 7. I mean, if you're looking at simply a win-loss and you're taking, they're well below 500. Points-wise, that's a little better. I don't think the Isles score enough goals. I don't know. I keep talking. I think the Rangers are the only team, to me, that has any chance.
Well, bonus question. Alex Palou won the opener at St. Petersburg in the IndyCar race. Scott Dixon was second. Joseph Newgarden was third. Scott McLaughlin was fourth. I think the other contenders for the championship Pato Award was 11th. Colton Herta was 16th. And Will Power was 26th. After week 1, do you consider Alex Palou a heavy favorite to win the championship? Or because Dixon, Newgarden, and McLaughlin were so high up there, is it kind of an open race?
I think it's still probably an open race as far as there's so much time left.
Yeah, but Alex Palou so good? He has been so good the last 3 years.
I want to see how it goes until he gets to Indy. I think that's usually a big indicator. How does he come out the first 5 races before the 500, including the road course, including into that 5? And then I think if you're going to kind of start to see how the field mixes out. Yes, I think he was my pick to win it. the championship, and he's still my pick to win the championship. I do think he is just that much better than the field. I think Pato O'Ward is really close. I think Newgarden's close.
After 1 week, what's your top 5 most likely to win the championship?
I would say that as far as my top 5 most likely to win, I'm going to say Palou. I'm going to say Herta. Even though he finished 15th, I'm going to say Herta. I'm going to say Pato. You know what? No, I'm going to flip-flop those two. I'm going to put Pato at 2. I'm going to put Herta at 3.
Ahead of Newgarden?
I'm going to put Newgarden at 4.
All right.
Newgarden, the past couple years, he's obviously won the 500, and I do think he's had a bit of a hangover. I don't think he's always raced great the 4 weeks after the 500. I get it. I mean, You've reached the. I would, as bad as it sounds, I would say that pretty much any racer in the series would probably trade a series championship to a 500 championship. So.
If they wouldn't, they're foreign and don't understand the Indy 500.
Absolutely,
yet.
Yeah. Palou's my heavy favorite. He's got a big lead, especially over Herta right now. But I'm gonna say Palou, O'Ward, Herta, Newgarden, McLaughlin.
Not Dixon.
No, it's a little bit. I just think these young kids are just too good. The technology's too good. If there's an old guard guy that will win it, it will be Scott Dixon, but I think he's just going to kind of lose cheap points throughout the course of the year.
Isn't Joseph Newgarden in the old guard now?
I think so. I really think he is in the old guard.
He kind of is. It's hard to believe.
I would say that he's established to this point to the extent that I would say that he's probably spot on analysis. I think he's probably on the.
He might be between the two.
He might be right in the middle.
That's
he might
right.
be right in the middle of the old guard and
he and Alexander Rossi are kind of between the two generations.
There's a tier difference between Newgarden and Rossi, though. That's the problem.
I don't think that's true.
Newgarden's a winner.
So is Rossi. So is Rossi when he had equal equipment and he had equal team.
It's never been. His career is always highlighted on this first race of the 500, and I don't know.
And
if
then
he's reaching
2 years later, finishing second, and if he'd had one more turn, would have won it.
Well, problem with the 500 is nobody can. How many times Ed Carpenter finished second?
None.
I can think 3. I can think 3 times Ed
Never
Carpenter
finished
second in the 500.
He's finished in the top 5 several times.
Ed Carpenter's finished second in the 500. I'll look it up right now to fact check.
All right, we're pausing while we're fact checking. All right, Will, what's the answer?
He finished second in 2018.
He did?
Yep.
To who was second?
2018? Was that Takuma Sato or Simon Pat? Will Power. It was Will Powers.
Okay. You were right. I was wrong.
So, I believe,
but
I'm pretty sure I was at that race. Actually,
it was a different kind of second place than what Alexander Rossi had when he had the best. Probably should have won the race over Pagano.
Oh God!
Alexander Rossi is an awfully talented driver.
He's good, but I don't think he's as good as Newgarden.
No, clearly not at this point. You couldn't.
I think you're right about that. I don't think he's in the same tier as Newgarden.
I'll say he's a half tier below. How about that?
I'm saying a full tier.
I think you're wrong.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, I get told that all the time on the show.
Yes, you do.
I have no problem.
We'll see at Indy what Rossi does with the Carpenter car. Because he's going to do a lot with it.
Well, here's what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly. This is my brilliant analysis of the 500. He's going to come out. He's probably going to win a pole because they strip their cars down so damn light. They're practic. Okay. I mean, they're praying they don't get killed. The Carpenter guys, they always do really well in the pole, and then they come out hot, and then they fade out.
They're always right there at the end of the race. They're always right there at the end of the race. For years and years and years and years, they've been right there at the end of the race. Now, the last 5 years or so with Daly and Carpenter, that's exactly what they've done. But before that, they were right there time after time after time.
Yeah, 2021, Carpenter had a top 5 finish, and it's been 19, 20, 17 since then. So
yeah, and he was in contention until the last 2 years. The last 2 years, he's not been a contender.
I mean,
And Connor Daly, by the way, was in the lead the last couple
Connor
of years.
Daly has had the lead the past 2 years.
But they have not been consistently finishing as high as they
No, they
had
haven't.
been in the past.
They 2021 was the last year that I thought that they were a legit, like, hey, they can win a race.
At Indy, they have a chance to win the 500.
I think they. I mean, I would argue. I think everybody would. I think everybody would be happy if Ed Carpenter won. I really do. I don't know if he will, but I think.
Well, if their car wins, it's going to be Rossi. I think at this point.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think it's
a good marriage.
Palou's time's coming.
Oh yeah,
Racer like him's not going to not
Award
win. And
too.
So is Award. Their time is. Here's what I'll say: Joseph Newgarden's not winning 3 in a row.
We'll see. It's never happened. It would be interesting to see if it did.
Marcus Ericsson always runs the 500 real well too. So I mean, that's another name to keep there. Will Powers obviously won it. It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
I
can't wait till
wait
May
for the 500.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It was fun as always.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening. Always appreciate your time. If you're interested in seeing the Central Indiana Sports Report continue to grow and thrive, please tell your friends about it. Share this episode. Will would love that.
Yes.
Beg him, Will. Beg.
Please listen to the podcast.
No, share it.
Share it
with your friends and family.
Listen.
You weren't even paying attention.
Listen and share. Listen and share. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Please.
Also, coming up later today, we got Mike Rich with some Pacer stuff, Kevin Helfrich with some Indiana Wesleyan NAIA tournament previews, and, of course, the Daily Report every day.
Here we go. 3.9 seconds left. Pacers down 3. Halliburton's got the ball. Halliburton rises up. And he hits it. And there's a whistle. Oh, my goodness. Tyrese Halliburton hits a 3 and is fouled.
You have got to be kidding me. This is almost like the spread option in football. They had 4 offensive players in the backcourt. And Tyrese Halliburton coming off the screen here and right in the grill of Giannis and right in front of Damian Lillard, who's on the bench right now with a chance for a 4-point play. You don't understand the degree of difficulty on this shot.
And the Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.